Everyone. We'll take you through the macroeconomic discussion for the month of August 2022. So the main thing that we'll be going through is the GDP. So GDP constitutes mainly for the consumption and the government spends, which is approximately 80 to 85% or supposedly 90%. The main thing comes under consumption is the power supply, petrol consumption, the EPF data, passenger vehicle sales, and credit growth.
Yeah. So looking at data points in consumption, when we look at power generation for the month of August, we see that on an average for last 12 months, power generation would grow at a 4% year-on-year level. However, during the month of August, the power generation has increased 6% year-on-year, which is higher than its average. And that constitutes to be a positive indicator. Looking at petrol consumption for the month of August, in terms of number of units, petrol consumption has grown 16% year over year, where its average number is 7% for last 12 months. Since it's higher than its average, again, we see a positive indication there. When we look at EPF numbers, where the data is available till July 2022, where on an average 13 lakh employees would be empaneled with EPF monthly. We see for the month of July, 18 lakh new employees got empaneled. Again, constitutes to a positive indication. Then coming to passenger vehicle sales, for the month of August, we've seen a 21% jump in passenger vehicle sales when we compare it with last year, August 2021. And since it's higher than the last 12 months average, it's a positive indication there. Then looking at credit growth, for the month of July, we've seen a 14% year-on-year growth, and total disbursements for the month of July being 2.2 lakh crores. And out of this 2.2 lakh crores, 1 lakh crores came from service industry. So it seems like the credit growth is higher is going to increase in the future as well. All in all, we see consumption to be a positive indicator across all the variables that we track.
So coming towards the second factor, that is the investments, that basically gives the outlook on the market on the FII and the DII sides. So what we see is that investments basically made by FII and DII average has been 9,000 crores. That is an inflow. But however, on a net basis, what we are seeing in the September month, there has been an outflow of 4,000 crores. Constitutes being 18,000 outflow from the FIIs and the inflow of DII of 14,000 crores. So giving an outlook, overall outlook of investment, what we see is a negative factor, because where there has been an inflow over the periods, there has been an additional outflow on the overall. And also if we consider FII specifically, there has been an average outflow of 15,000 crores for the last 12 months average period, while this month it has been on a higher range with 18,000 crores.
Right. Then moving on to government accounts, which is your tax receipts, GST collections, and fiscal deficit. If we look at, so looking at tax receipts, we have collected the government has collected 1.6 lakh crores for the month of July, which is 26% above last year. And the last 12 months average being 1.4 lakh crores. Now this tax receipts looks very huge because of direct tax collections during the month of July, July being the due date for income tax returns. Then coming to GST collections for the month of August, we've seen 1.43 lakh crores of collections in GST, whereas the last 12 months average was 1.38 lakh crores, and fiscal deficit being at a 43% of total receipts, compared to 52% of its average level. If we see all for government accounts, we've seen positive indicators across all the three variables that we track.
Yeah. So the next part is the foreign trade. Although it's only 1% of the overall constituent of a GDP, it gives an outlook saying that how much has been the export and the import, and thus helping us in determining the economy over the future. So what we see is the export, there has been an increase in the exports from an average in the month of June. We don't have the data for July as of 30th September, because the data were not published. But giving an outlook for June, what we see is that the exports have been higher. The main increase in the exports have been because of the oil exports, which have constituted because of the price increase. However, there has also been a negative side, whereas the imports have increased as compared to the average. There has been approximately 1 lakh crores increase in the imports, again because of the import which we are seeing. And since there was a lockdown in the last year same period, April, May, June 2021, we are seeing the higher imports as compared to the average 12 months. So on a net basis, what we see is that trade deficits is on a higher side by 60 lakh crores per month, and this has been increased and is comparatively higher than the 12-month average. So giving an overall outlook on the foreign trade, what we see is a negative factor because the trade deficit, that is basically the exports minus imports, have been on a higher side.
Right. Moving on to a couple of other variables which do not directly form part of GDP but are essential for looking at the growth of the economy. Unemployment rate. For the month of August, we've seen unemployment to be at 8.3%, which is quite high compared to the last 12 months average of 7.5%. Where we look at the minute level, the rural unemployment has touched 9%, whereas urban unemployment is at 8%. Giving an average India unemployment of 8.3%. Now looking at inflation for the month of August, we've seen an inflation of 7% year on year, whereas average inflation for last 12 months was 6.2%. Although the average inflation is 6.2, which is below the current month's level, we have seen a higher inflation when compared to the upper tolerance limit, which was set by RBI at 6% level. So
yeah, so giving an overall outlook on the macro, what we see is a positive factor for the economy or the Indian economy, because the consumption, which is basically the constitutes 65 to 70%, and government accounts, which is approximately 25%. They both have been on the positive side factors on all the variables that we were looking into. So what we can say is the economy can be positive factor on the future prospects what we have.
Okay, so that's it for this update, and thank you for listening to our views on macro.
Feel free to reach out for any questions. Thank you.